2 more questions. Okay, we have a division here. So what am I going to do different with the division question that I would have done different with the multiplication question? Yes? Flip which one? Okay, flip the second fraction. That's all I'm going to do different. Is when you're dividing by a fraction. When a fraction comes after your division symbol, actually it doesn't have to be a fraction. If a number comes after a division or expression comes after a division, that expression gets reciprocated. It flips. Okay? So my first numerator, I wouldn't rearrange it, leave it like it is, okay? My first numerator, trinomial, no common factor, so we're going to go to 3 times 2, 1 of each sign. I've got them backwards, I just saw that. Last times last is x squared, so my only choice is x times x. When I check myself, though, my outer is -3. My inner is +2, so that's going to give me a +1, so I got to switch my signs. There's my minus, there's my plus. In the denominator, x squared minus 13x plus 42, no common factor, trial and error. So x times x, my signs are minus, minus. And then 6 times 7 gives me 42, but also gives me my 13 in the middle. As we said, we're going to flip the second fraction. So my 2x squared minus 13x minus 7 is going to come up to the top to factor. Okay? So when I factor 2x squared minus 13 minus 7, 2x squared is 2x times 1x. We have opposite signs. And then 7 is 7 times 1. I could visualize that before I wrote it, so I knew where to put the 7. Check yourself. Outer times outer, -14, +1, -14 and +1, give me my -13. So I'm good there. And my numerator, 2x squared, 2x times 1x, 1 of each sign, and then 3 times 1 is 3. Check yourself. Outer times outer is -6. Inner times inner is +1. -6 and +1. Give me my -5, so I'm good. And then we'll start canceling. Okay, so watch carefully as I do my canceling, because we're going to have those inverses. Okay, so first I can do x minus 7 with x minus 7. Cancels completely, a group with a group. You can even cancel these, even when they're in the same fraction. As long as it's top to bottom, it cancels, whether they're in opposite fractions or the same fraction. So 2x plus 1 will cancel with 2x plus 1. And then here we have our inverses, as I talked about earlier. So I'm not going to write that out where I pull out that negative. This is what I'm going to do when I see inverses. I'm going to cancel them and just make my answer negative. So I'm going to make sure I take out a negative by canceling the inverses. I showed you that process of why it happens. So it looks like I'm left with, I'm going to leave my negative in the numerator. Because I'm left with a group, I do need to put it in parentheses since I took that negative there. Remember that you can write that answer 3 different ways, all of which are correct, with the negative on top, the negative on the bottom, or the negative out in front. Okay, so again, you can see it's really all about factoring, 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 factoring. A question on that one? Okay, and our last one, which actually looks very similar to the one 2 questions ago, but there's a little bit of difference in here, okay? All right, when I have that power of 5, it means that power of 5 goes to both the numerator and denominator. So when I take 2x minus 5 to the 5th power, I'm simply going to write it as that, 2x minus 5 to the 5th power. Do not multiply that out. Then I'm going to take 3 to the 5th power. 3 times 3 is 9, 27, 81, 243. Thank you. Thank you. 243. So I'll take 3 to the 5th power. Do calculate that. I am dividing here, so I am going to flip the fraction. So the 6 is going to come to the numerator. So 6 to the 2nd power is 36. And then my group, 5 minus 2x to the 2nd power is 5 minus 2x to the 2nd power. Okay, first let's reduce your 36 over 243. If you want to know how to do this on your calculator, then get that out so I can show you. You can do it by hand, of course. But I will talk you through these steps and being able to reduce that on your calculator. Okay, so we start by taking 36, because that's the one in the numerator, divided by 243. So 36 divided by 243. And I get an awful decimal. So again, I do 36 on the top because that's on the top, 243 on the bottom. So 36 divided by 243, and I get 0.1481, da-da-da-da-da, repeating. Now go to your F1 function. So your green button, y equals, and go to number 4. 4 converts fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions, and it reduces it to 4 over 27. Oops, I want that in pink. So I reduce that to 4 over 27. So I can use my calculator to reduce my integers. So again, 36 divided by 243, you'll get a yucky decimal. Use your F1 key. Your F1 key is your fraction key. It converts that decimal to a reduced fraction. So your green button y equals and then number 4. All right, so here's the other tricky part. You are now going to cancel, like we did above here, where I took and canceled these 2 groups from 2 of those. So I had 4 there, so I took 2 out, canceled them. We were good there. So let's look at this. I'm going to do the same kind of thing. Here I have 2 groups. Here I have 5. So I'm going to cancel 2 of these. But these are inverses this time. Okay, these are inverses this time. And remember on the question before, when I canceled inverses, I just canceled them and made my answer negative. Okay? However, when you're doing a question like this, you are canceling groups. So here I'm going to cancel 2 groups of inverses, which means that I'm going to pull out a negative every group I cancel. Okay, so this one I'm going to write out so you can see exactly what I mean. I would not expect you to write this out if you were doing this, but I want to make it very clear why my answer is not going to be negative. See why we want to do this? Because if I had like powers of 25, I'd still be writing the bell ring. Okay? So we know that that's what that power means. It means I have 5 of these. And we know that the power of 2 means I have 2 of these. So when I'm canceling these groups, which are additive inverses, I have to take out a negative every pair that I cancel. So I canceled 2 sets of inverses, which means I took out 2 negatives, and then 2 negatives will actually make my answer positive. Okay? So, what am I left with? I'm left with a 4 and 3 of the 2x minus 5s. And in my denominator, I'm left with 27. Okay? So let's look at that again. I canceled 2 groups out of 5. So each time I canceled them, I took out a negative. So the 2 negatives made a positive. So let's talk about a general rule. If I am taking out, or canceling or reducing, an even number, 2 of them, 4 of them, 6 of them, 8 of them, that means I'm going to have a positive. And if I'm canceling 1 of them, 3 of them, 5 of them, 7 of them, an odd number, then I'm going to have a negative left, because I'm going to have that negative left over after I have all my groups of evens. Okay? So you can look at this power. So if this power were 3, and I was canceling 3 of these, then my answer would be negative. If I was canceling 4, this power here was a 4, it would still be positive then. Okay? So you have to think in terms of groups here, and these are groups of inverses, which is going to affect that sign. Okay? Again, don't make these problems harder in terms of this part right here. Don't multiply this out. Just write it as that group to that power. Okay? Because if you multiplied that all out, you'd have to FOIL this and then multiply that answer by that answer by that answer by that. You'd end up with some crazy, crazy thing. Okay? Okay, a question. All right, that finishes. I'm going to write down your OTL. Because this is something that should not be too difficult for you in terms of building, because it's really about the factoring, we will have an assessment on this on the Tuesday we get back.